think for the adult population now, the people that are willing to go on camera and talk and promote their
Yeah.
businesses and promote themselves on camera, they're going to be the ones that are going to be successful because
Yeah.
everybody's staying at home and watching stuff instead of going out and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to get like political candidates locally to do this
Hmm.
kind of thing, um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
instead of going on the street side waving signs like
I've
those
never
old.
understood that. We're like one of the only places in the goddamn country that
It's
that does
totally
that kind of stuff.
foreign. It's totally foreign to me. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like why would somebody
Yeah.
vote for you because you're standing on the sidewalk waving? I don't understand. Welcome to Hawaii Real, everyone. I have with me today a very special guest and an old friend of mine, Ben Brechtel. He is the owner and operator of Inception Designs Services. They're a website, web platform type of hosting company, and he's got a lot of big name clients. And thank you for coming on the show today, Ben. How you doing, Ben?
Thanks, man. It's good to be here. It's easy with the Zoom, so
Yeah. Makes things kind of easier. I love the background. You got a little Star Destroyer command
wouldn't
deck
have it any
going
other
over
way,
there.
man. My daughter uses this for school, so she does the same thing.
The Star Destroyer command deck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only a couple of people noticed. Only a couple of her teachers are like, "Oh wow, I really love your Star Wars background."
Like, yay. All right. So Ben, you've been helping me for a number of years with my website and everything.
Yeah.
What are some of the big clients you have and like what does Inception Designs do?
Let's see. The bigger named clients that would be most recognizable would probably be like Popalock, Rainer Garage Doors, Pacific American Lumber, and I just recently started representing Chef Mavro,
Okay.
which, by the way, is he's retired. Chef Mavro has retired, but he put his former executive chef. He sold him the business, so now I'm going to be representing them. We put up a new website just recently. Obviously, they're altering their business because of everything that's going on with the pandemic. And so I'm working with a PR person to do that. And in a nutshell, there's not really a nutshell. I create the website. You can't nutshell it. I'll create a website for a company and I'll install analytics and do digital marketing and manage their social media presence and things like that. Not just, posting on Facebook for them. It goes a lot deeper than that, but basically making all those things work together as one online tool, because that's where everything is now. Nobody uses phone books or anything like that.
Right. So somebody can just hire you to do a website and then from there build off like all the ads and
Right.
like fixing the website, updating it, that kind of thing.
Right. And there's a huge component of search engine optimization in there. So that is a lot more important now than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it's constantly changing. So, there has to be a certain amount of attention given to the site so that Google will find it naturally, organically, and serve it in what's called a SERP page, or a search engine's results page. So whatever, if you're looking for Star Wars stuff, hockey stuff, that kind of thing, you're going to type in an organic search and it's going to give you back the best results. We need to make sure that our clients get that so that people can find them right off the bat without having to rely just on advertising. Advertising is like it's a bump, but we need enough people to find them from the beginning.
Yeah, so you're doing like the commercial type of newfound like commercials, because in the past it was television commercials, radio commercials, but now it's all just Google stuff, online and social
Yeah.
media, and you're all into that.
Yeah. I would have to say, to a point, the former standard media like TV shows or TV stations and other publications are kind of like my enemy, or competitors, I would say, maybe is a better word. But
So would they
they're
be
doing
like
things.
would they be like the light side, the Jedis, or would they be the dark side? And you're the
Oh
dark side,
geez,
or you're the
yeah, it
Jedi?
depends. What's
I
your
think you're the dark
perspective?
side.
I'm a dark Jedi, but I wouldn't say I'm a Sith.
whatever. Okay, we shall see.
Yeah.
But
But anyway, those companies, I'm basically doing the opposite of what they're doing. I call their methods like the shotgun method or bird seed method. They just kind of throw information out there and hope that it reaches the right person. Where I'm trying to target specific groups using data that are going to likely or to be likely to use their services or buy their products. So
yeah. Yeah, what a lot of people don't realize about you, Ben, is that you didn't always do this. Like you had a completely different job. You used to work for the city, and what made you leave that job and pursue like your own entrepreneurial venture?
there's, as you well know, there's a lot of negativity in the job, and I think combined with some of my own life experience prior to being in the police department, I think I got to a point where I think I'd had enough of constant daily negativity to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it comes, again, as you know, from the own command or from the red tape portion of it. It's not just from criminals or writing tags or something like that, even though you're trying to do good things. So just combined with that, I started to think, I want to see what else is out there. And I, at the time, had just made a little bit of money on some real estate. So I had the opportunity, and I thought I got to go try to do something else. I don't want to just, for me anyway, I'm not saying it's not a good choice for a lot of people. It's a great career, honestly. But for me, with my background and everything that had been going on, I decided to do that. So after I decided to leave, then I had tried out another couple small businesses here on Oahu, and it was a lot of fun. But it was a lot of mistakes and a lot of learning too at that time. And even that was a completely different field than what I'm in now. But I tried it, it was like exploration time. And I went ahead and did that. And then I got married, or well, I didn't get married at that point, but I had met my now wife, and we ended up deciding to go to the mainland for a couple of years. So we did. Just before I left Hawaii, I was doing some work as the director of marketing for a wine store here.
Mm-hmm.
And I started, playing around with this kind of work, doing web design and venturing into what I do now on a much smaller scale. And so when I went up there, I actually found a good client, and I was doing the same kind of work. And it just, after that, just fell one into another. I mean, it didn't happen all at once. I had a lot of times where I was like, oh, I'm not going to make any money doing this. I'm barely making enough to cover expenses, and I got to find a real job. But then my client count increased, and I started finding bigger projects to work on. And so eventually I got to the point, it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to have to find a pretty good job in order to match the amount of income that I'm making now to make it worth my time, going back to a 9-to-5.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just, through a whole nother set of circumstances, we ended up coming back. And when I got back here, that's when I increased my client count even higher. I kept some of the clients that I had gotten up there, and I still have them to this day. So I've had them for like 8 years now. And I added to my client list. And at that point, then I was like, I'm not even thinking about trying to find, a normal job, because then it's convenient. Now I get to work from home, especially when I have my daughter, when we were up in the mainland, and then being able to be there, pick her up from school,
Mm-hmm.
at the time daycare, pick her up, take her to daycare, just have that kind of schedule instead of having to put her in a babysitter or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely good working from home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's dangerous. I mean, you got to really discipline yourself, but
I think like one of the risks with working at home and leaving, just a steady paying job is that when you do dive into that job, it's like that is your only source of income right now. So you kind of put all your eggs in that basket, and you actually work harder for that. And I think people that have side jobs on the outside of, or in addition to like their regular job, they don't dive into it fully. And that's why maybe those side jobs don't become as successful. When
Yeah.
you know, for your
Mhm.
example, right? You left and you started all this other stuff, and that's how you were able to
Yeah.
become successful doing
Yeah.
it. Not everybody has that. I get that.
Well, it was, I lost a lot of money just trying to figure things out too at first
Sure.
when I first started my other business. And it's one of those things that takes you a few years to come back and realize, like, if I hadn't have screwed up so bad, this wouldn't be working now, probably. I had to
Mm,
take my licks when I was able to take them at the time. And then, you get a little bit older, you get some wisdom behind you too. And then you're not doing such risky things anyway, whether it's life or business. But, for the most part, that helped a lot screwing up a few years ago. And then now I've been able to, it's been a few times where I've actually given advice to somebody that's like, hey, I went through that, so let me give you some advice.
right, right.
Don't make too many abrupt decisions, or don't go down the quick and easy. And but yeah, it's cool. I mean, even when it's yours, when you can create it and manage it the way you want to, then you don't mind working some extra hours to take care of it.
Yeah, a lot of people that venture into entrepreneurship like that, they'll tell me that they'd rather work 80 hours on their own so that they don't have to work 40 hours for someone else.
There's a lot of truth to it. And then, one thing I think I've realized even a lot more ever since doing this is, even if you're going to a job at an office for another company, you're spending so much time, so much wasted time driving there. Meetings. I got to go get coffee, and I can accomplish the same amount of work in 4 or 5 hours that most people do in 8 or 9 at an office. And it's just a matter of efficiency. And then of course it comes into play as like, okay, well, I could stop working right now. It's 1 o'clock. It's cool. I could go do whatever. But I've also got the opportunity, to make another whatever $3,500 if I keep working from now until 6 because I just got a new client. And then, without making it an unhealthy situation, you have the opportunity to make more money than you would if you just busted ass at a 9 to 5. You're not
Hmm.
going to, you're not going to really make that much more profit. This way, I can increase my profit based on my own productivity. So that's another plus there too.
Yeah, that's huge. I like
Yeah.
that. I like thinking about that, thinking that, hey, if I want to make more money, I put in more hours to work and I, devise
Yeah.
ways to make money instead of working for someone else and say, hey, if I need to make more money, I have to put in, you know, more overtime or whatever. And it just,
Yeah.
uh, it's good having a little bit of that kind of work freedom, to kind of do your own thing. With that being said,
Yeah.
has the pandemic and people staying home and everything like that impacted your business, or is it like increased business, or things kind of stay the same?
Yeah, it's industry dependent right now. I think there's a couple. Well, actually, just one client has dropped all the way out of monthly services at this point, and their business is one that depends on people doing, construction and home improvement and stuff. So, with everybody grinding to a halt and not making $10,000 or $20,000 purchases in that industry, they can't really justify an expense like digital marketing. They're marketing to nobody if they do that. So there's really only one client that did that. Food industry, or restaurant industry, has really increased a lot. And I've got a couple of clients that, they're telling me I'm at the same level right now, or I'm $50 away from where I was this time last year with my dining room open.
So
And
they're actually doing better.
it's a cool, some of them are, yeah. And then there comes in a time where, you're comparing how efficient and innovative are some of these companies being, because some of them are like, oh, I don't want to do online ordering right now. It's kind of complicated. We always just do call-ins and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, you can take 2 or 3 orders every hour, or you can take 10. depends on how you want to do this. And the ones that adapt quicker are the ones that are making money faster. And so this is kind of a cool opportunity. You know, I've been saying we're going to see a lot of businesses are going to change for the better and on a more permanent scale, because now they're seeing, hey, I'm able to increase my profit by reducing some of the more traditional things about my business. If I close my dining room for a couple hours, focus just on online ordering, and bring that operating expense down a little bit, that improves my overhead, or I'm sorry, not my overhead, but my bottom line. And they're happy with it. It's just a matter of getting comfortable doing it, you know? So, I think there's a couple of clients that are going to do that. As you can see, I'm not sure if you heard Leaky Drive-In is closing,
I
right?
just heard that Leaky Drive-In closed. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're, you know, that's an establishment that everybody knows for last, you know, in our generation and before. But they also said clearly on the news, you know, oh, we're not set up. We don't do online ordering. And
Right.
I'm not criticizing. I'm not trying to make, you know, of course, those people worked hard their entire lives, but, you know, you can kind of see also there's a certain way that some businesses are set and willing to do their business. And if they don't want to shift, or if they're not set up to do it, it's part of the process, you know.
They're going to
Something
fail.
like
They're
this
going to
comes
close.
along,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I've noticed myself, because our buying habits are different now, obviously too. We will buy from Box and we'll get home delivery, and you know, these other options that maybe a couple times we used them in the past, but now I look at it, I'm like, wow, it makes so much more sense to do this, because you don't spend that same amount of time driving to the store, walking around in the store, touching a bunch of crap, you know. And
Yep.
now it's a little more gross than before, but you still don't have to do that. You can have those things done for you, and you're still putting that same amount of money into the economy as you were before. But you kind of just, you know, you get that little bit of time back and you can do something else with it. So I'm hoping after this is done that a lot of those companies will keep doing what they're doing, and I'm going to encourage a lot of my clients to continue doing that too.
I think they're going to have to, because what we're hearing is that this may not be the last time, or there may be another spike, you know, of sickness later on in the winter or something like that. And not only that, but who's to say that there
Yeah,
won't be other viruses or other pandemics in the future, right? So businesses
yeah,
that are
yeah,
alive and thriving now, they're going to have to continue doing that kind of stuff, just on the off, you know, chance that this does happen again. They're ready to go. And I see that a lot with
yeah,
I'm envisioning that a lot with schooling, you know, kids going off to college, you know,
yeah,
all of it's online right now. It's all just distance learning. And
yeah, yeah,
some schools aren't going back at all. Actually, no, all schools aren't going back at all. But
yeah. My
they're not
daughter's not
even
going
going
back.
back for summer school. Not even for summer school. You know, they're saying they won't go back to school until August, and they're just going to do distant learning for everything. And it's like, okay,
Mm,
when you've done that for so long, you know, months, people get used to that. People start
yeah,
expecting that. So
yeah,
in the past, having an online college degree was kind of looked down on. Going in the future, 10 years from now, 5 years from now,
be normal.
it's going to be normal. All these big universities, they're going to be expected to
Hmm.
have online classes. You know, kids who are growing up now were like,
Yeah,
hey, no, I sat at home and I did all this English and all this math and all this social study stuff when I was at home. Why am I paying so much money to go
yeah,
to a lecture hall and sit there and read out of a effing book? Like, why?
yeah,
I just have my iPad at home. You know, that's where I
yeah.
envision this whole distance thing going. And I
I
think
would
with
say so. Yeah,
with restaurants and stuff like that, pizza delivery was always a thing. Now it's
yeah,
becoming a thing for like all sorts of food, right? Like you can get
right,
Morton's
right.
steakhouse stuff delivered to your door. It's like,
Yeah,
well, why do I want to risk
yeah,
going to a restaurant, having to wait for a table, possibly getting crappy service, and having to pay extra for a tip and whatnot, and have that same experience. Unless you have a restaurant that has a really good ambiance or something else to give, people are going to be like, hey, no, let's just order some steaks and have them delivered to our house instead of pizza. And we're just going to
Yeah.
sit and watch Netflix.
Yep.
I totally see that happening. And I think you're right. The
Yeah.
businesses that don't adapt to that, they're going to fail. They're going to lose even after this is over. I think there's going to be when it's over, there's going to be a spike of people going to restaurants. But what you're going to see is all these restaurants.
Yeah, just because they can, because they're like, holy shit,
right,
we got out.
Right.
Yeah.
But all these restaurants that have had to lay off people for months, they're going to have to rehire all those people. And those, some of these waiters, waitresses, and serving staff, they may be getting other jobs now. They may be all like,
they're going to be delivery drivers now.
Right. Or they may have their online businesses or doing something completely different now.
They could have come.
All those dreams that they had when they were as a waiter or waitress that they wanted to do, something in the future after their serving job. Now they're doing it, hopefully. I'm just throwing things around. It's like, no, you might see these restaurants have shortages of staffing. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally think, it's going to be kind of like a mini industrial revolution in a way, because so many businesses they're just going to have to reconfigure the way they earn money, how they get their profit. Watch the news it was this morning. Yeah, I think it was this morning. And they were talking about a Boeing plant in Kansas and Kansas or Arkansas, one of those states that were pretty close together. And a lot of people there, they've been trained to do like one specific job, right? And now that that's dried up, there's no other opportunity. They have no other skills. And so now all these people they're SOL, they have no other options. So I think we're going to see some professional or industrial Darwinism taking place for a while, and there may be some high unemployment. But I also see the other side of it, the little sprout coming out of the ground is going to be these more nimble businesses, the businesses that may not even, like if you're talking about eateries, maybe even businesses that don't even have dining rooms. They're just not going to open them. They're just going to have food, and you can still have, the Google and the Yelp presence and reviews and all that stuff, but it's an at-home experience. And I honestly, seeing what I've seen in the last month and a half, I think it's going to increase. So it'll be interesting. It'll be good.
Yeah, I think like the Pizza Hut model or the Domino's model, right? Pizza Hut, you still have some dine-in places. Domino's and Papa John's, you don't, right? You can't. There's no eat-in. Like
there's no.
You get your pizza and you go, or we'll deliver it to you.
F out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they must be booming.
So,
they must have a booming business right now, because their business
my
never
wife
really
is ordering tonight. So.
Right, because they're like the pizza business probably should not have taken a big hit.
Yeah, there's and that's the thing is that I think that's why they continue to do so well is businesses like that. They're not luxury dining. They could be really good food, but it's not luxury dining. So people can still afford purchases like that, $20-$30. And especially now that one round of stimulus checks came back out, people are going to buy food one way or another. So they're either going to deliver it or they're going to buy it at the store, but it's not a $500 purchase. So you can continue to see that happening. If this went on 6 months at the current level that we're at, then I think, we'd definitely see a further breakdown. But I think that's why it's going so strong, and the fact that it's more accessible now. So the ones like you were saying earlier, Morton's and Highs and places like that, those guys are already selling off, their wine collection because they got to make payroll.
Yeah, they got to do something, and nobody's going there getting steaks. And times like this, it's like people look. It's like, do I need to spend $50 on a steak? No, I need it. I need that $50. Like that $50 has to feed like 6 people. I can't just go spend it to buy one steak. So,
right. Yeah.
People are definitely becoming more frugal with their money and their spending. And I don't know if that's for the good or the bad, but a lot of non-essential items are just not going to be purchased really. So,
But yeah, I mean, to answer the first question you asked me is, yeah, no, I haven't seen a huge shift yet. There's been a little bit of cutback. One customer fell out in April. But then I've also gotten a lot of new business too that kind of replaced it and went down a different path. So I'm not trying to say that this is all good. I mean, I wish it never happened, of course, but based on what I thought it was going to be like, it's a lot different than what I anticipated initially. Yeah.
It's gotta be silver linings, right?
Yeah. There's always somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like the podcast on Zoom. Silver lining, right? I've been
There
trying to
we
get
go.
Ben to do a podcast with me for a long time. And it's the first time we got it because he can sit at home and do it. He
I
doesn't.
know.
He's a hermit. He doesn't want to come out of his house.
That is true. I have a certain, I mean, not that I didn't want to do it and see you, but I've always been somewhat of an introvert. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to go out because I feel stir crazy. I'm like, no, dude, I'm cool being at home. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
So, like another thing that I've been telling my kids with this distance learning thing is that they really have to become familiar with being on camera, and that
Hmm.
that goes as far as like the lighting and the look and everything.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
by the time my kids are adults, they're in sixth grade and fourth grade now,
Hmm.
they could be doing their job interviews and stuff via webcam or
Oh
online,
yeah.
or it'll be virtual. There's a higher likelihood of that happening than there is today. And so for them,
Oh yeah.
I always promote, say, hey, get used to being on camera, get used to talking on camera, get used to lighting yourself good. I've been watching YouTube videos trying to figure out my lighting setup here because like I want
Yeah.
this to look good and sound good. So for them, I'm telling them, hey, this is the future. Like you're going to go to college and there's going to be, you
Yeah.
might have to take a test, a verbal, essay or something like that, or debate via webcam. So be good at it. Don't
Yeah.
put it off.
Virtually. Right.
Learn that now. Learn those skills now. And I think for the adult population now, the people that are willing to go on camera and talk and promote their
Yeah.
businesses and promote themselves on camera, they're going to be the ones that are going to be successful because
Yeah.
everybody's staying at home and watching stuff instead of going out and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to get like political candidates locally to do this
Hmm.
kind of thing, um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
instead of going on the street side waving signs. Like
I've
those
never
old,
understood that. We're like one of the only places in the goddamn country that
it's
does
totally
that kind of stuff.
foreign. It's totally foreign to me. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why would somebody
Yeah.
vote for you because you're standing on the sidewalk waving? I don't understand. Because everybody's on the sidewalk waving.
He
So that
waved
doesn't,
so much better than the other guys. Screw
right.
that guy.
It doesn't differentiate you from any
Yeah.
other candidate. It doesn't. It's silly. Oh, we have more people waving. It's like, is it a popularity contest? Like, I don't get it. I don't care how good you look on the side of the street waving signs. I want to know what you think about X, Y, and Z.
It was funny when we moved up to the mainland a few years back and it was election season. I lived here since I started high school, and I never really paid attention to elections before then anyway as a kid. But I'd been here so long that when we moved up there and it was election time, I was expecting those people. I'm like, why don't we see anybody out? There should be people all over the damn place with signs. Maybe they'll be out tomorrow. Maybe it's a weekend thing or something. Never once. And I'm like, oh my God, we're just retarded in Hawaii, man. That's what it is. The candidates are just stupid. And it's an old thing that must have started in the 20s or
Oh,
some
you went
crap.
there.
What?
No, it's like old school mentality, and it just keeps
Yeah.
translating to the next generation of politicians and candidates. And it's just like, guys, do something different. Stand out. Don't go on the side of the road and wave signs. Go on Facebook. Go on YouTube. Live. Answer questions.
Yeah.
Take
Hmm.
questions. Just do something different. Stand out. Let Hawaii
Yeah.
know who you are as a person. Let them see you laughing. Let them see
Yeah.
you being a little bit upset. You know. Yeah. So I think video, social media stuff. It's definitely the future. The The businesses that aren't doing it, the political candidates that aren't doing it, those are the guys who are going to fail.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year, but in the coming years, because we are building a generation of children right now that expect that. So you have to look
Mhm.
like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, which isn't that long.
Yeah, it would. Well, it's funny because my daughter is still in school for another like 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. And because every class is Zoom now, they do their little chats right before the teacher starts the class. So they're talking to each other, and they're like, "Oh, cool background. How'd you do that?" I was like, "Oh, you can't do it on an iPad. You can only do it on a PC with it." And they know all this crap already, and they're like chatting with each other, and then somebody starts drawing on the screen while the teacher's talking. I'm like, see, they've even adapted to harass the teacher in a virtual environment, because they all lose it, and I get mad too. I'm like, damn it, who's doing that? It's really bugging me. I was like, it's amazing. It's a microcosm, a virtual
Yeah.
microcosm is what it is.
Okay, so Ben is like this huge Star Wars geeky fan type person, and secret, I am too. So we've had debates and talks a number of times in the past regarding like what's better, like is just stupid stuff like where were these star destroyers made? Are these better than these other star destroyers? And blah blah blah. And
Yeah,
yeah,
important stuff.
yeah. So Ben, your favorite character is that Obi-Wan? That's why you're growing the
I would
beard.
have to say, yeah.
He grew the beard. His name's
No,
Ben. Obi-Wan Kenobi. When did you first start?
I
When did you
grew the
first
beard. I think
see?
he's younger than me. Yeah, no, it was in the theaters when the first round of movies came out back in the 70s. I was a little shit, and I was standing on the chair, because I couldn't sit down and see, and that was before amphitheater style seating, right? So you'd had, if there was people in the theater, you're blocked. So I just stood up the entire movie like this, one arm on each side of my parents, and I watched the movie, and that was it. My life would not be the same if that hadn't happened. And my dad wasn't even a sci-fi freak. I think he just wanted to do something that night. But so since then, and then when the new movies came out, what was it, Empire in 1980 and Return of the Jedi in 83, I was there, man. I bought all the stupid books and stuff. But I think what's different now is now it's a product more than a passion or an idea.
Mhm.
And you look at George Lucas, and he is kind of a dork. I'm not going to try to defend the guy. He looks dorky. He's a rich dork, but
Definitely.
he's always been he's always been kind of a dork. And back in those days, um, you got to hand it to the guy for just pushing through, no matter what people said or thought of him. But if he hadn't have done that back then, think of how different your life would be. None of the other companies like Pixar or Lucasfilm or Skywalker Sound or any of the CGI companies that we know and watch other movies out of that franchise would be in existence, where they'd be
Right.
radically different, maybe. So I think there's a complete inherent value that Lucas had back in the day. And I don't know if have you ever read his biography, that book? I
No,
think it's available
no.
on Google Play.
Okay.
It gives you a lot of insight into like who he was, and
Hmm.
he was supposed to take over. I think his dad owned some kind of print supply company in this little town in California,
Sounds
and he
boring.
was supposed to kind of take over the business. It was super boring, but that's why he went and did this stuff. And he crashed his car, and that like some kind of an epiphany for him, and then
Hmm.
started going down this path of writing movies and stories and things like that. And that was the match right there. And then you see how he ended up going to film school and met Spielberg. And now if you really think about it, it's funny in a couple of ways, because so many perfect things lined up to make Star Wars the franchise that it became. He met people like Spielberg and got in contact with some of these people who ended up being producers or writers or editors. on that, and not to mention John Williams. You
Mm.
name any kind of famous movie in the past 35 years that didn't have the score done by John Williams, and I'll give you $100. It's almost every blockbuster franchise. But it was
Yeah,
really,
The
it
music
started
definitely
with
makes
Star Wars.
Star Wars. It cut it from the rest of those sci-fi movies, not just the um the special effects that were created during the original Star Wars. But yeah, the
Yeah.
soundtrack, like it's unbelievable, and yeah, like you can remember it really really easily, and it's very impactful. So
Yeah.
even if people have not seen the Star Wars movies, they hear like the Imperial March, they know where that's from.
They know it. They know it, whether
You
they
know,
want to say it or not.
oh, that's
And
Darth
just
Vader song.
that,
It's
and
like, yeah.
yeah, exactly. They'll know it to an extent, but even, he almost didn't even make it. Well, what's his name? The graphic artist Ralph McQuarrie, who designed a lot of these conceptual art pieces for 20th Century Fox, because they weren't going to buy it. They were just like, we don't need that. We got 2001: A Space Odyssey, and something else will come. We're not interested in Star Wars. Yeah, and so Ralph McQuarrie, somehow, some way, Lucas found this dude and told him what he wanted. And it just so happened that McQuarrie was awesome enough to be able to create this environment and show the guys at 20th Century, and that's what pushed them over the edge. They're like, okay, well, that and Francis Ford Coppola. But if it were not for that series of events, one thing after another just fell into place, and eventually it just became this behemoth, and then it blew up in his face, and he's like, oh my god, I don't even know how this got this popular, but here we are.
Here we are, and Disneyland has their little Star Wars land kind of thing with the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Um,
Yeah.
so that was definitely
You went,
cool to
right?
go visit that. Yeah, yeah, definitely went to go see that like the
Yeah.
12th day after it had opened, and that was surreal. You're in a Star Wars air land universe kind of thing. What caught me off guard was that all the workers there
Mm.
were definitely in character for like being a shop owner on this planet somewhere else, right? Definitely not on Earth. But the other thing about
Oh,
Galaxy's Edge is like they didn't have any logos from on anything, any brand name on
huh.
nothing. Like you go to the bathroom and you wash your
Yeah.
hands in the sink, and you go to the hand dryer, and you can see it's one of those Dyson blow dryer things, but there's zero logos on
Mm.
anything. And even on the characters, like their shoes are covered, they're wearing complete,
Mm.
clothing, unmarked clothing, and there's no logos on
Wow.
anything. So they really did a good job in scrubbing and making sure that there was no signs of you being on actual Earth when we were in Galaxy's Edge, and that was kind of cool.
I got, I said, yeah, no, I didn't know that. And I would say that's pretty impressive for them not to continue the branding machine, because if anything, Disney is the master at branding and marketing. That's pretty surprising that they decided to make it just an immersive event or experience instead of, how can we push another $20, on these people? But
Well, they did have like the Coca-Cola and the Sprite bottles were like in these little grenade looking things. So,
hmm,
and that's like the only place you can buy those is there.
yeah. But let me ask you this now, because I haven't been yet, and I think we're going next year to Disneyland. Um, Let me ask you this though: when you think about, after you watched the first original trilogy and you used to play lightsabers with your friends at school and stuff, that feeling, and yes, I know there's an age thing, but that feeling that you get about Star Wars is nothing like what it is now, even though there's new movies coming out, and I'm happy for that, but it's still a completely different experience, and it's palpable to me. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. So, like at Galaxy's Edge, a vast majority of the people there were like 30 something year old dudes.
Mm.
and maybe their girlfriends or their wives. There weren't a whole lot of children there. And this is
Yeah.
Disneyland. This is Disneyland, right? So there weren't a whole lot of
Mm.
children in Star Wars
Yeah, yeah,
Galaxy's
that's
Edge.
weird.
But it was at that time when there
Hmm.
was they were only letting in a certain amount of people, and you had to get a reservation. So that's probably why
Oh,
you didn't see a whole lot of
uh,
kids, because you had the really serious fans
the
going
Uber
there.
dorks got there first. Yeah.
Pointing fingers at me now, huh? Okay. Yes, I was the Uber dork that got the
Hey,
reservation,
I would have
and
gone too if I was at the time. I would go too.
but it was definitely
No, but
cool.
it's. I mean, it's good in a different way.
Yeah, and my kids were happy to see me so excited. I think, like they were excited because Dad was excited. It was
Yeah.
different. We weren't going to Galaxy's Edge because the kids wanted to see it. We're going there because, oh, this is Dad's dream, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just
Yeah.
me. I mean, you could see that in a number of families and dads over there too. So
I'm sure.
it's definitely different, for
Geeking out. Yeah, I would too. I would do that too.
yeah, for guys our age. Like we've waited decades for something like this that we could go to and it be like a Star Wars thing. You could see like an X-wing fighter right
Yeah.
there. You could see stormtroopers walking through the park and talking and interacting with people like right up close. Like stormtroopers would come right up to you and ask for your identification and kind of bother
Oh, that's
people.
cool.
It was really cool. And then you would have like Chewbacca just show up and like start running away from them, and they would kind of try to chase them
Oh
and stuff.
man,
So that was really cool.
that's way different. A lot of people started to dislike the franchise from when it was episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yes,
You know, the first prequels, which was admittedly kind of crappy,
it was.
but there were
I
some.
lost a lot of faith in that. Yeah.
But then there was also some really bright moments where you had like the Darth Maul lightsaber battle was the
It was
best, in my
epic.
opinion, was the best one there ever was.
Right.
I don't.
I agree. To this day,
Yeah.
like I'll go back and watch that battle, that lightsaber battle scene over any of the other lightsaber battle scenes because it was that good. And
Yeah.
on that note,
Yep.
I would think it's like the space battle in Return of the Jedi. I thought was the best one out of all the series. That's up for debate,
Yeah.
right?
That's
But for
true.
the technology they have at the time and the realism that it actually looked and the lighting and everything that they utilized, I think it was awesome. Could they have done more? Yeah, but for the time, I thought it was just awesome. But yeah, the new
Yeah.
the new trilogy, it was okay. It was good. They did a lot of good things. They did a lot of like kind of crappy things too. But
Well, completely different director. I mean, even though, because you got to say that the secret sauce, which was Lucas, wasn't there, and even in the film that he didn't technically direct, like Empire, which is usually the favorite of all real serious fans, he wasn't the director of that one, but he was still there. And then once he's completely removed from the equation, you get weird stuff happening. J.J. Abrams, completely different style of directing and storytelling. So what do you expect? I mean, I can't get mad at it because it's a part of the story. And even the prequels, I was like, yeah, some of this really sucks, but for the most part, they're, like I said, those shining moments. Qui-Gon Jinn, you get a little bit of the backstory there, and the Darth Maul battle, and it gives you more of the background of like Obi-Wan too. And I mean, you kept teasing me about Obi-Wan and stuff, but it's funny. I mean, I didn't do the beard or anything because of him, but I gotta say
you're
that I think
right.
he's probably my favorite character. And
Uh-huh.
when you really look back at it, he was one of the most serious badass characters there were. Think about everybody that he defeated. He
Yes.
beat Darth Maul's ass. He kicked Grievous's ass. He beat
But beat
Anakin.
Darth Maul twice.
Yeah.
People don't know that, but in the
Yeah.
cartoon series, like they actually meet up again, and Obi-Wan kills him in like 2 moves with a
Yeah.
lightsaber. It's really quick.
But all of that stuff, all the things he's accomplished. He kicked Jango Fett's ass.
Yeah.
You know, And I mean, he didn't kill him,
Kinda.
but he kicked his ass at that one battle. It
Yeah.
was kind of a draw, but at the most part, you're looking at it like Jango Fett was a badass. That's why they made the clone army after him,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so just all these characters that he all these super powerful characters that he defeated, but he never got big in the head. You know, he never got cocky. He maintained the principles of Jedi Order. And then I also think about, and I've read a couple of the extended universe books on him, and I always think about like how hard. Can you imagine how hard it would have been those 20-25 years on Tatooine protecting Luke, with all he had to think about was his failure and the situation that happened between him and Anakin, and that's all he had for all those years, that and meditation. So for somebody to have that kind of a will, I just thought the character was a lot deeper than people realized.
Mm-hmm. Was Disney throwing out that they're going to make a Obi-Wan series?
I thought it was supposed to be a movie, but then it starts and stops and starts and stops. So I don't really know what the hell is going on with it anymore. If they're going to finish it or complete it, or I would hope so. I mean, I'd kind of be more interested in that than, even though I know the end result, I think I'd probably be more interested in that than Yoda movie.
Right. Although I do like the Mandalorian series. I think Jon Favreau coming in as just
Yeah.
ultimately he's brought things back to the original, kind of the original Star Wars trilogy, and taken it from there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's just brought a real authenticity to it. And I love the fact,
Yes.
and I know maybe a lot of people have seen the Mandalorian show or have heard about it on Disney Plus. Maybe they don't know that in one of the scenes where they had like 100 stormtroopers, the director
Yeah.
actually went to the local. It's called the 501st. It's the people that do the cosplay
Oh yeah.
for the stormtroopers and stuff like that. And he actually put out a call for all these characters to, hey, we need stormtroopers. Can you guys come down here with your stormtrooper armor? You know, we need a ton of people, and they did.
Oh
You know, so he actually was
yeah.
able to use like true
Nice.
fans of the movie instead of actors to fill all those roles.
Oh,
You know, and
nice.
I bet he did it for free too.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Isn't that?
Probably they would. That's the difference right there. They just do it just because they love it, not because they're hoping to get in the Actors Guild.
Yeah, I think it was in
But
like the last scene. Not the last scene, but the last episode. There's like 100 stormtroopers or something like that, and most of them, the ones who aren't doing the stunts, the ones who are kind of just standing
hmm.
around, like those are actual
Oh,
fans in their own
that was
homemade
the.
armor. It's
Oh,
pretty.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's little things like that that helps bridge the gap between Star Wars fantasy and modern day reality. Where you get people coming
Yeah.
together like that.
Well,
But
Favreau's like an OG, right? I mean, he's our
mhm.
age, so it's good that he has that whole same kind of love for it than somebody who, and not to say you can't appreciate it when you're 25, but it's different as somebody who was born a couple years after um, the second trilogy came out. So I think he's always remembered that, all of us playing with that dorky Boba Fett figure that you get out of the cereal box and whatnot. That's the kind of guy who's like totally invested in it. So it's so good. I mean, we watched it several times over and over on Disney Plus. So I can't wait. I think it's October though. It's coming out the next season, right?
Can't wait.
Yep,
Can't wait.
it's gonna be hard in it.
Yeah, and I think with the pandemic and everything, you're going to see, because they've Disney's had to either push back movies or release movies early on their streaming service.
Mm,
And I
yeah,
think a lot of studios are in the same dilemma. Like, do they release these movies that they've already filmed and produced and edited and put out that were supposed to go out to the theaters?
yeah,
Now all the theaters are closed.
yeah.
Do they release those, or do they put them out on streaming services? Because their only other option is to wait and wait until people start going back to the movies.
They can't do that. They got to make the money. No, they already started. There was a recent one. It's a kids movie, the
Onward
movie from Disney.
Yeah,
or is it DreamWorks? Yeah, Onward. Did you guys watch it? I liked it
in
a
the
lot,
theater.
but
I actually watched it in the theater before the whole shutdown happened.
yeah, that was like one of the last ones that came out, right?
Yeah.
Before the shutdown.
Yes.
But then Trolls, whatever the hell the last Trolls movie was, because my daughter loves that thing. But that didn't get released. It just went,
Right.
But here's the thing: you can't rent it yet, or you couldn't at least last week. It's only for sale. So of course now we own that, and that's
they got to make their money.
They're going to have to do. But I don't know, when you look at it, they're recouping enough as it is. So the real losers end up being the theaters, because they can't sell popcorn for $19 a bag.
Right. It's like, are we going to see theaters across the country, across the world, like shut their doors for good? Are we going to see an end to that whole industry? I mean, imagine like how germophobic our society has become.
Right,
like, and the theaters were not clean. They weren't very clean at all. And you're sitting in a chair that, somebody else just sat in and just got out of the theater, and it wasn't disinfected. It wasn't cleaned or anything like that. And the bathrooms in the movie theaters are just horrendous. Like, there's piss all over the floor. I mean, we think about that more now as a society. It's like, oh, okay, place is disgusting. We're not going to go there because you might catch something. Maybe not COVID-19, but something like is definitely nasty. Did you see the video of Tom Cruise? He dressed up as Maverick, put on the helmet and the face mask and everything, and went grocery shopping. Yeah, there's a little TikTok of him doing that. It's like, yes, that's what we need to do.
Did enough people recognize him? Because that's kind of an old movie now, dude.
Well, I mean, you couldn't see his face. He had the visor down, and he had the air mask, the oxygen mask on. His full fighter pilot costume.
Wow. No way.
I mean, obviously, you could see that it was somebody dressed like Maverick, but you didn't know it was Tom Cruise until the end of the video when he takes it off and he's, looks at the camera. You can see, oh my God, that's actually Tom Cruise.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah, it was really cool. All right, Ben, it's been great having you on, buddy.
Well, cool, man.
Thanks a lot. And for everybody out there, if you need any kind of web work,
here, dude.
Thank you. Ben Brechtel, he's got his business over there, Inception Design Services. And that is your website, right?
Yes.
InceptionDesignServices.com.
It's a little bit of a weird domain name. It's Inception Design and then svcs.com. So it's like an abbreviation for services.
But if you Google Inception Design Services,
there you go.
Web design for all you restaurants that need to change.
Worth my weight.
For all you restaurants out there that need to change, adapt, Ben's already helped other places. So look him up if you need some help. All right. Ben, thanks again.
Yeah.
And as always, stay happy, Hawaii.